With our wedding days away, my fiancé's assistant came to help him move. In full view of everyone there, she yanked her mask off and tossed it into his hand. He didn't hesitate for a second, slipped it straight onto his own face. As soon as the move was over, I told him the wedding was off. He frowned, impatient and annoyed, over a mask. Did you see how much dust was in the air? What's wrong with wearing a mask? It was hers, I said, my fists clenched at my sides. Stella Bennett. You're being ridiculous. Is this really worth throwing a fit over? Fine, call it off. Just don't come crawling back on your knees begging me to change your mind later. He thought I'd be the same as always, humiliated by his cruelty, yet still clinging to my love for him. But he'd forgotten. A heart can only take so much before it dies. This time, I wasn't looking back, not even once. After I left our premarital shared condo, I called every friend and family member to tell them the wedding was cancelled. Everyone was shocked, but no one sounded truly surprised. My best friend tried to comfort me, but she couldn't hide her anger. Good riddance. When has Grayson Voss ever treated you with an ounce of respect? In his eyes, you're not even worth as much as his little assistant. I'm saying this as your friend. This wasn't a relationship. You were his doormat. I smiled bitterly and said nothing. After that day, Grayson fell right back into his old habits. He deleted every photo of us together in one go, blocked my number, my social media, even my work email. He'd always done this. Every fight ended with him blocking and deleting everything, like he was following a well-worn script. He was so sure I couldn't live without him, that I'd come crawling back just like always. But this time, I stared at the friend request button for a long moment, then swiped the screen shut. A week later, an urgent notification popped up in the company Slack group. 7 p.m. tonight. Mr. Voss is hosting a celebration dinner in the Amethyst private suite to mark the project's successful launch. All staff must attend. No exceptions. I didn't want to come off as antisocial, so I showed up. When I pushed open the suite door, noise and the sharp smell of alcohol washed over me. At the head of the table, Grayson sat holding a glass, smiling bright and brilliant. Tina Lane was practically pressed up against his back, her arms looping around him to rest on the table, like she was holding him in her embrace. She leaned in so close her breath fanned against the side of his neck. He didn't pull away. He leaned back into her with a lazy smile, his eyes heavy with something warm and intimate. The position was so charged it felt like they could start fooling around right there in the chair. A tight ache settled in my chest. I walked straight to an empty seat in the corner and sat down. One by one, my coworkers stood to toast him, laughing and flattering him. The room was loud and lively. I didn't join in. I just poured myself a drink and sipped it in silence. I'd barely drunk half the glass when a shadow fell across me. I looked up to find Grayson standing there with his arms crossed, that familiar impatient scowl on his face. Stella, he said, his voice low but sharp. Everyone else is here congratulating me on the project. You got nothing to say. Back then, I'd treated every little thing he said like a royal command. Forget project celebrations. If he so much as mentioned having a good day, I'd have gone all out to celebrate. Once, he'd mentioned offhand that he wanted to see the northern lights. I'd booked a trip to Iceland without a second thought, spent weeks planning every detail, all to chase that fleeting beauty with him. We'd been freezing our asses off in the cold night, and he'd curled into my arms and said, Stella, I want to see every beautiful thing in the world with you. I'd believed every word back then. Now, it just made me sick to my stomach. Nothing to say, I replied, my voice flat and emotionless. My coldness clearly snapped something in him. His face darkened, and he raised his voice sharply. Stella Bennett, how long are you gonna keep this up? Over a stupid mask? You've been throwing a tantrum for a whole week over this. He thought I was still mad about moving day. He thought I was still the woman he could push around, summon and dismiss whenever he pleased. I stared at the smudged lipstick on his jaw. Tina's lipstick and felt nothing but numbness. I'm not throwing a tantrum, I said, meeting his gaze steadily. I meant it. The engagement's over. For a split second, Grayson's face went rigid. Then Tina took his hand, and he composed himself again. Stella, don't get the wrong idea, Tina said, her tone sweet and wounded. There was so much dust that day, and Gray was coughing so bad. I just panicked and gave him my mask. If I'd known you'd be this upset, I'd have kept my distance. I'll be more careful next time, I promise. Grayson's face softened with pity for her at once. Tina. You don't owe her an explanation. He pulled her closer, glaring at me. Stella, will you drop it already? It was just a mask. Are you really gonna blow this way out of proportion? What was I supposed to do? Just stand there coughing? You're the one who should be embarrassed for even showing up here tonight. Tina stepped forward then, reaching out to pat my shoulder in a patronizing gesture. Honestly, Stella, we as women need to be more mature about this. Making a huge deal out of a mask is just overkill. Gray's been so miserable because of you. I know you two have been together forever, but maybe you're just not right for each other. Can't you just meet him halfway? I slapped her hand away and laughed coldly. You know what I admire most about you, Tina? It's how you can act like you're doing everyone a favor, when we all know exactly what you're up to. For an assistant, you've really mastered that innocent victim act. The fake smile froze on Tina's face. Grayson snapped. Stella, what the hell is wrong with you? Am I wrong? Then tell Mui was my spare jacket in her Instagram post. Why does every detail of our fights get spread around the whole office the next day? And I leaned in, lowering my voice. How does she know about that tiny tattoo on your hip? What it means? Shut up. Grayson's hand flew up. 18 sharp slaps landed across my face. One after another. The crack of each blow rang in my ears. The world went fuzzy and distant, but I saw it clearly, every pair of eyes in the room. Some pitying, some mocking, all fixed on me. The ringing in my ears faded. The first thing I heard was Grayson's loud, triumphant declaration. Fine, Stella, you want to keep harping on that mask. Let's put it to a vote, right now. In the company group, was Stella overreacting about the mask? Everyone who agrees with me, drop a 1 in the chat. He waved his phone, showing me the message he'd already typed. A challenging glint in his eyes. If we get over 100 ones, you drop the attitude. Stop walking around like I owe you something. He hit send. The notification pinged crisp and clear. He grabbed Tina's hand and stormed out of the suite without a second glance. As he passed me, Tina leaned in and whispered, so quiet only I could hear. I was the first one, Stella. The second they were gone, the room filled with the buzz of phone notifications. Everyone grabbed their phones, staring at the group chat, murmuring as they filed out. Someone sighed and shook their head. Come on. Was it really worth dragging this into the group chat? So awkward. Another leaned in and muttered, Stella, just let it go. It's just a mask. We all have to work together. I knew this game. It was his favorite trick, using public opinion to force me to back down, to make me apologize and admit I was being unreasonable. But this time, all that pent-up frustration inside me hardened into something unbreakable. I wasn't going to bow down. Not ever again. The loud, bustling suite went quiet fast. All that was left was half-eaten food and empty glasses. And me. I grabbed a random glass from the table and downed it in one go. The cold, bitter alcohol burned down my throat. It stung my eyes. All those years of careful, tender love, when it finally came crashing down, it was just nothing. I booked a flight to Austin, thousands of miles away. He couldn't bother me there. My face felt cold. I realized I was crying. Packing felt like peeling off a layer of my own skin. Grayson and I had grown up together. His traces were everywhere. In the drawer, a worn copy of One Piece, something I'd saved up 3 months of breakfast money to buy. He'd run around the playground holding it, breathless, and yelled, Stella, I'll be Pirate King, and you'll be my first mate. On my phone, a blurry photo of him crying his eyes out. Sophomore year of high school. I'd hurt my arm at a badminton tournament. He'd yelled at me for being reckless through his tears, but he'd clung to my shirt the whole time, refusing to let go. After that, he'd made me eat chicken noodle soup from the school cafeteria every day, swearing it would help my arm heal faster. For years of long distance in college, 128 train tickets spread across my desk, roughly 118,000 miles of traveling back and forth to see each other. He'd always get to the station early and leap into my arms the second he saw me. In a velvet box, the 2 rings we'd made ourselves. Graduation day, he'd dragged me to a silver shop, amid flying sparks. He'd slipped one onto my finger. "You're stuck with me now," he'd said, grinning. "I've got you for life." Back then, we both thought we'd make it to the end. I never thought he'd be the one to let go first. Tina's first day as his assistant had been a disaster. Grayson had been furious and told me straight, "She's useless. Find an excuse to fire her." I'd barely paid attention to her, this woman with rumpled clothes who couldn't even explain basic security protocols. But a week later, she was still there. Worse, she'd become his personal assistant. Slowly, almost imperceptibly. She'd gone from an outsider waiting by the door to someone who followed him to every private event. The first time I'd truly suspected something was when I noticed his car air freshener had been changed to that strawberry scent Tina wore. I was allergic to strawberry. He knew that perfectly. The first time I brought it up, he'd ruffled my hair and brushed it off. "Don't be silly. I just grabbed it by mistake." The next time, he'd just glanced at me coldly. "Stella, can you stop obsessing over every little thing?" Again and again, I'd told myself to let it go, to not overreact, but I'd watched as his indulgence of her grew bolder and more obvious. He only ever took her on business trips. He had a full-time driver, but he always let Tina drive his sports car. The clothes I picked up for him, the restaurants I booked, they always ended up being for her. The way he talked about her changed, too. At first it was Tina's really reliable. Then it became, why can't you be half as good as her? It all came to a head at an office afternoon tea. Grayson was raving about how good his coconut mango smoothie was. Tina leaned over and said, "Let me try a sip." He handed her his drink without a second thought. She put her mouth right on his straw and took a huge sip. What made it worse, he took the cup right back and kept drinking from the same straw like it was nothing. In that moment, my chest twisted so tight I could barely breathe. It ached, sharp and sour, and I couldn't say a word. After that, Tina got more and more brazen. She'd follow him to massages, not just wait outside but go in to test the water temperature for him. When he twisted his ankle, she'd hauled him up and walked him out, completely ignoring me standing right there. Even our weekend plans got cancelled the second Tina said she was in a bad mood. Every time I complained, Grayson would cut me off, annoyed. "Stella, can you stop being so jealous? She's my assistant. It's her job. Stop making things up in your head." But as time went on, his excuses got weaker. He started avoiding my eyes. The worst was an industry gala. It was a couples-only event. He'd never told me. He'd taken Tina instead. I'd only found out when someone asked, "Hey, what's going on with you and Gray?" When I confronted him, he'd been more defensive than sorry. I took her to schmooze clients. "Can you stop being so petty?" We'd gone weeks without talking that time. So long I'd thought we were finally over. Then he'd texted me at 2 a.m. "My stomach hurts so bad. Can you come over?" Every wall I'd built came crashing down. I'd lost to his weakness. Again, I closed the velvet ring box and dropped it straight into the trash. I cleared out everything that had ever been his. The apartment felt empty all at once. My heart felt empty, too. The company Slack kept blowing up. Everyone was dropping their ones. Coworkers left comments. "That assistant's so thoughtful. Way better than some people." Right. "She's competent and sweet." Night and day. I didn't read anymore. I called my lawyer. "Handle this for me. I'm pulling my investment out of Voss Global." I pushed open the door to our condo and froze. Tina was lying on our bed in nothing but lace underwear. A half-empty glass of wine sat on the nightstand. Our wedding photo had been flipped face down on the table. Her blouse, her skirt, even her stockings were scattered across the bench at the foot of the bed and the carpet. Half my closet stood open. My nightgowns and loungewear had been pushed to the side to make room for her dresses. I'd designed every inch of this place with Grayson. He'd tested a dozen mattresses before picking this one, saying it had to be big enough for us and all the kids we might have one day. I'd picked the curtains heavy, blackout ones, because he was a light sleeper. Every corner had been full of our plans for the future. Now all those plans were just popped bubbles. I said nothing. I pulled out my phone, took a photo of her, then called building security and Grayson. 20 minutes later, Grayson rushed in, followed by the property manager. His face went pale the second he saw the room. Tina had pulled on a short skirt, but her top was still off. She spoke first, innocent and wronged. "Gray, You're here. I was just watching the place for you. And I got tired, so I laid down for a minute. I didn't think Stella would come back and start taking photos. She looked at me, challenge shining in her eyes, but her voice was sweet as honey. Stella, I know it looks bad. But I didn't mean anything by it. I was just tired. The bed's comfortable. I didn't think. I held up my phone, showing her the photo. You're in our bed in your underwear, going through our things. Tina, do you just have no boundaries? Or are you doing this on purpose? Grayson's eyes darted between me and Tina, finally settling on me with a scowl. Stella, that's enough. Tina was watching the place for me. I told her she could rest if she got tired. You had to call security, take photos. Do you have any idea how embarrassing this is? Watching the place from our bed. Resting means flipping our wedding photo over, hanging your clothes in my closet. I pointed at the nightstand in the closet. Grayson, this is our home, not some hotel for your assistant. Tina bowed her head, voice small. I'm sorry. Gray, I wasn't thinking. Stella has every right to be mad. I'll go. She reached for her clothes. Grayson grabbed her wrist, rounding on me furiously. Stella, can you stop being so cruel? Tina's done so much for us. Can't you be grateful for once instead of treating her like garbage? Grateful. I stared at his hand wrapped tight around hers, then at the bed that woman had tainted. I felt the last flicker of hope die inside me. Grayson, I said, my voice eerily calm. You can be grateful she's in our bed in her underwear. I'm not. Tina stood behind him, smiling at me like she'd already won. Grayson laughed coldly. You're home. Let's get one thing straight. Stella, this condo is in my name. Grayson Voss. You just live here. I can throw you out whenever I want. He grabbed Tina's hand and stormed out, leaving me with nothing but his back. His words drove into my chest like an ice pick. All the love and care I'd poured into this place. To him, it was just another property he could take back whenever he felt like it. Before he left, he threw one last warning over his shoulder. We're at 97 ones already. Everyone's saying once we hit 100. I should just marry Tina. Might not be a bad idea. I felt a wave of pity. Tina's little games were never clever. Grayson was smart, always seen right through her. He'd just chosen to let her get away with it. This whole thing had been their way of pushing me out. I'd just been PID enough to try and fix it. The last of my love burned out. Before I left for Austin, a few smug coworkers kept messaging me. 98 votes. You gonna let him get away? 99. Someone's hiding and crying cause they lost. Huh. I blocked and deleted them all. I didn't care. When the vote hit 99, no one in the whole company dared press that last one. Grayson's face was thunderous. He was about to find another way to force me to cave when the office door burst open. Mr. Voss, the 100th vote came in. It's Ms. Bennett. She voted herself. The group chat exploded. Messages flew by faster than anyone could read. Mr. Voss, get married. Do it. Assistant wins. Congrats. You too. This is wilder than a TV show. When's the wedding? Grayson Voss, Tina Lane, come on. Elope already. Grayson stared at his phone. His face went from dark to pale, then green. He gripped his phone so tight his knuckles went white. He'd never expected that final, devastating vote to come from me. Tina stood beside him, that triumphant smile still frozen halfway on her face. Neither of them had seen it coming that I'd end their stupid little game by pushing it all the way to the finish line. Grayson looked up sharply, his gaze cutting through the glass walls of his office like he could find me there. But I was already gone. His hands shook as he dialed my number. All he got was a cold, automated voice. The number you have dialed is not available. Of course, I'd blocked him. He wouldn't give up. He opened our text thread, the one he'd blocked and unblocked 100 times, and typed furiously. Stella, what is this? You did this on purpose, didn't you? You're trying to blackmail me. Answer your phone, now. The message is sent. Then a bright red exclamation mark popped up. Message not delivered. You have been blocked. I'd blocked him on everything. After he'd used public shame to break me. After he'd thrown the condo in my face. After he'd let another woman trample all over what we had. I wasn't mad. I wasn't trying to punish him. I was just done. Out in the office, people were still cheering. They crowded around Tina, half joking, half serious with their congratulations. Tina preened, glowing with pride. Thanks, everyone. I'll pass out wedding favors the second we get the license. I promise. But to Grayson, all those voices sounded shrill and sharp. The room spun. He shoved through the crowd and stumbled into the bathroom. Leaning over the sink, dry heaving, his stomach twisted into knots. Nothing came up. In the cold mirror, he stared at his own face, panicked, unraveled, completely out of control. It was only then that it hit him. Stella, the woman who always came back, who always waited, who'd drop everything for one text from him. She was really gone. She hadn't even left him a shadow to follow. The bathroom stall creaked open. Tina slipped inside and locked the door behind her. The small space filled with that familiar strawberry perfume. She looked at his pale face, his red-rimmed eyes, and softened her voice. Gray, you upset? She reached for his shoulder. He flinched away. Her hand hung in the air for a second before she dropped it, pasting on that sweet, eager smile. Don't be mad over someone who doesn't appreciate you. She's not worth it. She leaned in, voice dropping to an excited whisper. Hey, I got an idea. It'll make Stella come crawling back. I swear. Grayson lifted his head, dazed. Tina barreled on, triumphant. We go to the county clerk's office right now. Take a couple photos at the door. Post them on Instagram. Say we got married for real. She'll lose her mind. She'll come running over here begging you to take her back. She loves you that much. There's no way she'd just let me have you. She was so proud of her plan, like she could already see Stella on her knees, groveling. Then you can do whatever you want with her. Tina purred, waiting for his approval, but Grayson just stared at her smug, self-satisfied face. All he could see was Stella's last look at him, calm, cold, final, her voice saying I meant it. That final vote, the red exclamation mark. A wave of clarity and rage washed over him. This woman he'd once thought was exciting, sweet, a fun way to make Stella jealous suddenly looked stupid, infuriating. Get out, he said. His voice was rough, but final. Tina's smile dropped. Gray, I said get out, he yelled, pointing at the door. Now, get the hell out. Tina flinched back, stunned, her face twisted with humiliation. Finally, she yanked the door open and scurried out. The bathroom door clicked shut. Silence. Grayson stared at his reflection, then slowly slid down to sit on the cold tile floor. The person who'd always been there to catch him. He'd lost her, for good, when my flight to Austin took off. The click of my phone powering off was the final cut from my old life. There was no screaming heartbreak, no crushing pain, just a quiet, numb calm. I watched the city shrink below the window, the place that had held all my love and all my hurt. Now it looked like a faded painting. Life in Austin was brand new. I didn't go anywhere near anything tied to Voss Global. I used my savings and the money from pulling out my investment and to buy into a tiny, struggling design studio. There were only 5 of us. Simple work, quiet atmosphere. No one knew my past. No one looked at me with pity or mockery. At first, I buried myself in work. We pulled all-nighters on proposals, ate cold burgers while we debated design details, squatted on construction sites watching our drawings come to life, sweat dripping into the dry Austin dirt. I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Steady, grounded. I wasn't Grayson Voss's fiancée anymore. I was just Stella Bennett, a partner trying to keep a small studio afloat. Sometimes, news from the old city trickled in. I heard Grayson and Tina never actually got married. That stupid vote became an awkward inside joke around the office. I heard he'd tried to contact me, and when he couldn't, he'd thrown a massive fit at work. I heard he'd demoted Tina, but she still hung around him every chance she got. When I heard those things, I felt nothing, like I was listening to a story about strangers. Our first big project was redesigning a local bookstore. My team and I pulled 2 straight months of all-nighters. We revised the proposal a dozen times. On pitch day, I stood up front explaining our design concept. My eyes swept the crowd, and I froze. Ethan Shaw, a senior from my college days who'd asked me out once, I'd turned him down, saying I was already with Grayson. He was the project lead for the client. After the pitch, he walked over with a warm smile. Stella Bennett, Long time no see. That proposal was incredible. You were always the best in our program. He didn't ask about Grayson. He just talked about the work. The partnership went smoothly. Ethan was mature, professional. Never overstepped. He'd bring me a coffee exactly how I liked it, or order a light dinner for me when I was working late. For the first time in forever, I felt that quiet, equal respect you get between two adults. One night, I was the last one in the office. I locked up and stepped outside. The Austin sky was clear, full of stars. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. It was long, frantic, full of a desperation Grayson had never shown me before. He said he was sorry, said Tina was nothing compared to me, said he finally understood what he'd lost, begged me for another chance. I stood under the streetlight and read every word. Then I deleted the text and blocked the not a single ripple in my chest. When your heart's already dead, even hate feels like too much effort. I breathed in the cool Austin night air, looked up at the stars, and started walking home. My phone buzzed on the desk. Attorney Red lit up the screen. I swiped to answer and walked to the window, looking out at the thousands of lights glowing across Austin. Ms. Bennett, all the paperwork for withdrawing the family trust fund from Voss Global is ready. I need to confirm one last time. You understand what this will mean. That capital is the backbone of several major Voss projects. Pull it out, and their cash flow collapses. Bankruptcy is a very real possibility. Outside, the city glowed soft and quiet. I remembered what Grandpa Voss had said when he left the fund to me. Stella, this isn't just money. It's security. It's responsibility. You'll know what to do with it when the time comes. I'd always thought that responsibility was to build a future with Grayson. Now I knew better. He'd given me a lifeboat, a way out, whenever I needed it. Pull it, I said. No hesitation. There was a beat of silence on the line. Then Attorney Reed replied, crisp and professional. Understood. The process will begin immediately. I hung up the phone. I could almost hear the alarms blaring in Voss Global's headquarters. Thousands of miles away, in the CEO's office at Voss Global, Grayson stared at his CFO's ashen face and the sea of red warnings flashing on the screen. The room spun. That's impossible. How could she? How dare she? His voice cracked. Find her. Get her on the phone right now. His secretary trembled. Mr. Voss, we can't reach Ms. Bennett. Not her phone. Not her messages. Not her email. Nothing works. Then go find her. Go to Austin. She owes me an explanation. Grayson swept everything off his desk in a rage, his chest heaving. The office door slammed open. Tina rushed in, her face full of fake concern. Gray, what's wrong? I heard the company. Get out. Grayson grabbed a folder and threw it at her, screaming, this is all your fault. If you hadn't messed everything up, she wouldn't have left. She wouldn't have done this. Tina froze, stunned. Her sweet little mask shattered completely. Please, like I would have cared about you if you weren't rich. She spat back. Turns out all your money was Stella's anyway. Don't act like you're some tragic lover. Everyone saw how you treated her. You drove her away yourself. Security. Grayson roared. Get her out of here. Tina was dragged out by security, screaming insults. She spat at him as they pulled her away. The CFO watched Grayson spiral, the office in chaos. He wiped sweat from his forehead and muttered to his assistant. Call every bank and investor we have. Emergency meeting. Maybe we can buy some time. But everyone there knew, without that core pillar holding everything up, Voss Global was going down. It was only a matter of time. And me. I stood in the Austin night and poured myself a glass of water. The moon was bright. The stars were clear. None of it was my problem anymore. Austin autumn nights had a chill to them. I was at my computer revising a design when I heard Ida Mann's voice, yelling my name. Raw and desperate. At first I thought I was imagining it, but it got louder, thick with tears and frantic. Stella, I know you're in there. Come out. Please, just talk to me. I walked to the window and pulled back the curtain. Down on the street, under a streetlight, stood Grayson. His hair was a mess, his expensive suit wrinkled, his face streaked with tears. He stared up at my window, screaming like a madman. A few late-night neighbors stopped to stare. I watched him in silence. I was surprised by how calm I felt. Finally. I grabbed my jacket and walked downstairs. When he saw me, he lunged for my arm. I stepped aside. He stumbled, then steadied himself, crying harder. Stella, I found you. I hired a private investigator to find where you were. He was breathless, rambling. Please. Stop being mad at me. It was just a mask. Okay, come back. The company needs you. I need you. After everything. He still thought it was just about a mask. I looked at him at the panic and begging in his eyes. The face that used to make my whole world turn, now he just felt like a stranger. I was tired. No, I said, calm as if I were talking about the weather. I got rid of Tina. I swear. He was desperate. Like this was his trump card. I threw her out. I'll never see her again. I'll do whatever you say. I'll only listen to you. We'll go back. Just like before. Please. Just like before. Back to being the woman who loved him so much she'd take every insult. Who'd watch him flirt with his assistant and tell herself she was overreacting. Back to giving everything and being told it was nothing. To being reminded the condo I called home was just a favor from him. I looked at him, and it all felt so absurd. Grayson, I said. The night wind carrying my voice soft but clear. You don't get it. I didn't leave because of Tina. He blinked at me through his tears, confused. There would have been someone else. Another Tina. Another someone. The problem was never her. It was you. And it was me. For putting up with it. We ended a long time ago. The second you stopped respecting me. The second you decided you could trample on my heart as much as you wanted. Because I'd always be there. There's no going back. I turned to leave. No, Stella. He panicked. Throwing his arms around my waist from behind. His voice broken. I'm sorry. I know I was wrong. Just one more chance. Please. I can't live without you. The company'll fall apart without you. I pried his cold fingers off me one by one, stepped out of his arms, and didn't look back. That's your company, your choices, your life, not my problem. I walked back inside, shutting the door on his screams and the cold night air. The lights in the stairwell flickered on one by one, then faded back to dark. My heart was quiet. After that, Ethan and I fell together naturally. No grand declaration, just 100 late nights walking each other home, 100 moments of perfect professional harmony, 100 warm bowls of soup he'd leave on my desk without a word. We just happened. No fireworks, just quiet, steady warmth. He understood my silence. He respected my past. Sometimes, I'd still hear little bits of news from back home. Grayson's company had completely collapsed. He was drowning in debt. The rich, arrogant young man who'd had everything was now delivering food and packages in the rain, just to get by. People said he cried on the job sometimes, but no one coddled him anymore. One day, I came home to a wilted bouquet of white roses on my doorstep. The note was scrawled in shaky handwriting. I had everything when I had you. I didn't know what I had until it was gone. I'm so sorry. No signature, but I knew who it was from. Ethan looked at the flowers, then at me. His eyes were gentle. I picked up the bouquet and dropped it straight into the trash can by the door. An apology that comes too late is worth less than dirt. Tina had it worse. A leopard can't change its spots. She tried to seduce another rich man. His wife caught her, broke her arms and her legs. No one even knows where she is now. A wreck. Karma always comes for you, sooner or later. I turned and closed the window, shutting out the noise. From the kitchen, Ethan walked out carrying a plate of freshly cooked food. The smell filled the whole apartment. This was real life. The past. It was time to turn the page.